And it's time now for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. Al, let's say goodbye to the month of May. Can't wait to hear what June has in the forecast.
Well, Troy, it's been a pretty interesting week. A lot of cloud cover holding tight in eastern Nebraska and because of a lot of widespread precipitation. I think we're all sick of the clouds. Had a little bit of sunshine, but not like western Nebraska. At least from a standpoint this weekend, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to deal with more cloud cover. There is a shot of some warmer temperatures. And then, unfortunately, we look like going to maybe a stormier pattern as we go to the end of next week. So all in all, some positives and some negatives in terms of the forecast going forward. Looking at today's upper air model, we see an upper air trough over the Pacific Northwest and sharp ridging starting to build over the northern and central Rockies. At the surface, low pressure sitting over southwestern Kansas, expected to at least throw some moisture up and interact with the high pressure over the Great Lakes, generating light precipitation across the state as the day progresses. That will gradually pass through the state during the overnight hours, and we'll start to see the ridge building back in. Unfortunately, another piece of energy will sit down in southwestern Kansas as we start to see another surface low eject out. But it looks like the main precipitation emphasis will be over the central Rockies and possibly into the Panhandle. We're going to deal with a lot of cloud cover across eastern Nebraska, unfortunately. By Monday, the high pressure system starts to build into our region. A piece of low pressure does develop in southwestern Kansas. And on the backside of that high, we should see some moisture spill up against the front side of the Rockies, but I don't think any of that's going to spill out into our region. On Tuesday, we start to see that ridge push a little bit farther toward the east and upper air trough building significantly in the western United States. The first piece of energy expected to eject out Tuesday morning into southwestern Kansas. That'll develop thunderstorms along the front range of the Rockies, possibly moving into the Panhandle during the afternoon hours. And then as we go into Wednesday, we start to see that trough in the west trying to lift toward the east. One piece of energy ejects out of the southern stream into southwestern Kansas. That's going to generate some pretty significant thunderstorm activity, likely across northern Nebraska and southern South Dakota, potentially moving eastward during the overnight hours. And on Thursday morning, the trough begins to open up and lift toward the northeast, ejecting yet another piece of energy out into southwestern Nebraska at the surface. That's going to bring Gulf moisture up and override, interacting with the high pressure over the Great Lakes, generating widespread precipitation in southern Nebraska, potentially severe. And on Friday, we start to see the entire troughing pattern move toward the east, and most energy converts into the northern stream. Low pressure is organized as many pieces of energy moving out into the central and northern plains. Would not be surprised to see widespread convection all the way from Texas northward into North Dakota, and that will probably carry over into at least early next weekend. Looking further farther out into the future, next Thursday, following Tuesday, we keep that warmth into place, although it might be overemphasized across the northern plains. More importantly, with most of that precipitation moving across the northern plains, it looks like a drier trend will start to develop across the central and southern plains. Nebraska sits at the periphery of that, so we may actually see a little bit more precipitation that's currently expected. So, Troy, overall, it looks like a decent pattern coming up. We're not seeing a lot of widespread precipitation, at least in the next 4 or 5 days, but then we see more increasing precipitation trend next weekend. And after that, from the GFS model, looks like a more warm and drier pattern establishes itself, perfect for growing our corn across the state.